नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति-विकास स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति-वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, so welcome back to the session on the 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. So we are dealing with the teachings of Queen Kunti, and in the previous class we have discussed starting from Namasya Purusham Twadhyam up to Namah Pankajanabhaya, Namah Pankajamanine. As we discussed before, Kunti, she in her prayers in the 4 verses, she's just trying to set the qualification how who can see the Lord. She's setting those qualifications, and then she also started acknowledging the Supreme Lord, His beautiful form, how He is related with His devotees. And now the verses that we're going to see today, she is expressing her gratitude for the Lord's protection, that He has the kind of protection that He has given to her and the family. And also we are going to see her revolutionary prayer, which will for any common man, they cannot perceive what she is trying to say. So we will see all those things today. Okay. Text 23. Yata rishikesha kalena devaki kangsena ruddha chitirang shucharpitam vimochitaham cha sahatmaja vibho tvayaiva natena muhur vipadganat. Yata, as it were, Rishikesha, the master of the senses, Kalena, by the envious, Devaki, the mother of Sri Krishna, Kangsena, by King Kamsa, Ruddha, imprisoned, Atichiram, for a long time, Shucha Arpita, distressed, Vimochita, released, Ahamcha, also myself, Saha Atmaja, along with my children, Vibho, O great one, Tvaya eva, by your lordship, Natena, as the protector, Muhuhu, constantly, Vipat Ganat, from a series of dangers. O Rishikesha, master of the senses and lord of all lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious king Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. Devaki, the mother of Krishna and sister of King Kamsa, was put into prison along with her husband, Vasudeva, because the envious king was afraid of being killed by Devaki's 8th son, Krishna. He killed all the sons of Devaki who were born before Krishna, but Krishna escaped the danger of child slaughter because he was transferred to the house of Nanda Maharaj, Lord Krishna's foster father. We can just see in the life of this particular incident, Vasudeva and Devaki, where Vasudeva had to promise to Kamsa, yes, I will assure you, each and every son who is born, you can kill him, no problem. This much he had to come for a compromise for Kamsa to allow Devaki to survive and be with Vasudeva. So much that those conversations, and we can say Vasudeva was a great devotee of the Lord. He's a pure devotee. We can say, but we can just think of the situation for someone to give such a promise. Can you imagine? Our own son or our own relative. This is a big thing, and we see here. That was a situation in which, and every time, so okay, that's one thing. We can see that is one thing he accepted. And then accepting is one thing, and then acting is another thing. He did that. Every time a son was born, he was giving loyally he was giving it to Kamsa. So that was something to be thought about. So Prabhupada continues here with an important aspect. He's drawing the attention to to clearly express this point. But Kunti Devi was shown far more favor because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. This is a point to be noted. We can see, so the point is that, yes, Vasudeva and Devaki, they also underwent suffering. They also underwent difficulty. Really a very difficult moment. But here, Acharyas are also pointing out that there is actually Krishna favored more Kunti in a sense. Why? Because first of all, there was no husband for her. Nobody was there to protect. At least for Devaki, Vasudeva was there. Even if Krishna didn't recover those children, they died, because there is an opportunity that they can beget another child because Vasudeva was there. So Kunti Devi is considering all these things, and then she is saying that, my dear Lord, you are so merciful, so much you gave us so much shelter. Okay, Prabhupada pointed out that. Okay, the conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. This is a point we should think about. The conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. So that means what? How do you understand this statement?
He is taking danger for Krishna's sake.
Yes, that's a good point. Yes. When a devotee in serving Krishna, when he is taking risks, trying to please Krishna, trying to spread the Krishna consciousness movement, trying to help others in service of Krishna, Krishna really is very pleased, and then he is ready to give protection to such devotees. And we can see so many examples in the Bhagavatam, even lives of many devotees in the recent history, in the past, in the bygone years, in the history right from the old days to the current time. Krishna is always there to protect his devotees. So immediately this statement gives us also a faith. Okay, the more we surrender to Krishna, the more he is going to give us shelter. He's going to protect us. So we need to serve in that faith. We will discuss more on this. The conclusion is that, sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. So now the reason is given. So you may wonder why the Lord has to put someone in difficulty. What is the reason? We will a little bit try to understand this. Why, first of all, the Lord has to give difficulties to his devotees? Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, in one of the commentaries, is discussing about this. We will get into that. So now Prabhupada is making a point here in the last part of this purport, which is an amazing point. He's saying that, what is the key point here? That in the condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. There is no one else for shelter. It is a helpless situation. So whenever we call the Lord in a helpless situation, then the Lord reciprocates. So that's why we just hear Srila Prabhupada also saying it should be when we chant the holy names of the Lord, it should be like a child crying for the lost mother. So in that mood, when we chant the holy names, Krishna is very pleased, because we are expressing that, Krishna, I really want to serve you. I really want to, like the George Harrison song, I really want to be with you. I really want to serve. Oh my Lord, I really want you. That should be our expression. Our expression of our emotion should be like that. Not that just it should be a lip service. We should really feel the shelter of the Lord. When we pray, when we just engage in kirtan, that should be the real mood, to please the Lord and to call him in that. And Prabhupada says that is a success, he says. That is the success of spiritual life. The more we depend on Krishna, the more we show our helplessness, and Krishna is pleased. Okay, we discuss this point. So this is the point Prabhupada also is saying. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur also is saying the same point. He's saying that So to increase the dependency on Krishna. So now, this is the point we wanted to discuss. Why the Lord has to put devotees into suffering. As Prabhupada says, to increase the dependency. Very clearly Prabhupada makes this point. Now, it is said that we also see sometimes in the lives of the devotees, people, so they come in contact with ISKCON, they become a little serious, they start chanting Hare Krishna, and after some time, when they read books, they understand the basic philosophy, then they get initiated. So, but we see that if, anyone who is practicing Krishna consciousness, he is not without any suffering. All the suffering is gone. It's not like that. We do have suffering. Yeah, there could be suffering of the body. There could be some financial difficulty. There could be some issues with relationships. So many things can be there. So what is the reason? So why this Lord is allowing this kind of a suffering? So in one of the commentaries in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, in the Priyavarta section, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur also very nicely analyzes it. Now, I have just a quick question. If you remember, Priyavarta he was not ready to accept an instruction that is given by Brahma. What was that? Who remembers that? Yeah, he was not ready to accept that you have to get married. What is the reason for that? He was worried. What will happen to me? Because I will be bound, I will be attached, and at the end, his main concern is I may forget the goal of life. So that was the point Priyavarta is posing, and in that section, when that is being discussed, so he was concerned about the suffering that he may undergo. So Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he gives 3 reasons why there could be a suffering that could be imposed on the devotee for that matter. Why the Lord has to. So one, he says that one of the reason for suffering is, it's a very common thing which everybody may know. What could be one reason? To the offenses we may commit. When we commit offenses, we are going to have suffering. There is going to be a reaction for that. We are going to suffer for that. Okay, that is one reason. And there are several examples in the Bhagavatam and several examples in the history we can see. When someone has committed offense to the Lord or to his devotee, he suffers. Okay. Another second reason he gives another nice example. He says that one has to, sometimes the Lord allows the karmic effect, whatever activities we might have done, we may have to suffer the reaction of it. And how the devotee looks at it, whatever it may be from his previous karma, we may have to suffer in whatever. It could be a financial problem, it could be a health problem, it could be some issues with some other person or some adverse situation, anything it could be. And the Lord allows it. Sometimes He allows him to experience it. So the reason is that the Lord allows so that he will get purified and he will become mature. He will endure that situation. Depending on me, he will continue to engage in devotional service. So the Lord allows it. And actually, this example also we discussed before, like how the fan is switched off, then because of the previous current and the motion, the fan is rotating. Actually, he is under the care of the Lord, but the residual effects are there, it's going through. If you remember when we were reading Nectar of Devotion, there is a nice example that we discussed, how when we see it is very fast. This whatever that suffering that we are undergoing, it's not a big suffering at all. It goes through very quickly. But for us, more we are conditioned, it appears like a great difficulty. It looks like every second looks like 12 years or more, right? It looks like that. But actually, if you see from the perspective of eternity, how is it? It's just like this. It just goes. Time goes so fast. It's not that the situation is going to be like this for eternity. And Srila Jiva Goswami is giving an example of when you just make a garland. You all have nice experience. How does, when you put it inside the needle, does it just go through? All at a shot. It's just one by one, right? One by one, you keep pushing it. So like that, it is gradual. But if you see from a higher perspective, it's the 100 flowers are done. The garland is made. So that example is being given. So the Lord sometimes allows the devotee to go through some situation so that he will be purified. So that is the whole point. And Another reason, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur he gives explanation that the Lord sometimes particularly allows the devotee to suffer, and also this is one thing that sometimes the devotee may interfere in your life, and he will put some obstacle, or he may put you into an apparent struggling situation. You remember any example for that? A devotee may interfere in your life. Or for example, this is a common one which you may know. Demigods also pose difficulties in our life. The reason is that in a devotee's life, a demigod, they become envious by your tapasya or by your great devotion, and they may create difficulties. Any example you remember from Bhagavatam, or from anything for that matter? Specifically, I'm speaking about a devotee who is engaged in devotional service, and
Haridas.
okay, Haridas Thakur is a good example. Then, who said Prithu Maharaj? Yeah, Indra was disturbed. Then again, there is one devotee who expresses this.
Amrish Maharaj.
Well, Amrish Maharaj, yes, Dhruva. I was just thinking about Dhruva Maharaj. When Dhruva Maharaj was later, when he was repenting, after you see Dhruva Maharaj incident, the Lord comes and gives him darshan, and then he gives him all the blessings. You will go to the Dhruva star, and then you will be there residing for some 36,000 years or something. You will be ruling over, and after that you will come back. And later, after all his Lord left, Dhruva is very much repenting. In one of the prayers, he is saying, in one of the verses, I remember, he says that, actually, Narada Muni gave me a very good advice, but my senses were bewildered. These demigods they were envious of me, but I could not discriminate. He feels bad. So, yeah, that is also there. Sometimes demigods difficulty. Now, the question here is, a great devotee also may put someone in a very difficult situation, or make it even more simple. He may curse. In that way, you may have to suffer. Yeah, that's an immediate example anybody can think of. Nalakwara Manigriva. But you can always remember that a curse by a pure devotee is always a blessing. Yeah, that's the whole point. So we can see at the end what happened to Nalakwara and Manigriva. He became devotee of the Lord. I mean, devotee means what? They got their swarupas. They became gopas actually. So that is mentioned in the scriptures. It is there. That's an amazing thing. And some other Damodarashtaka month that could be discussed. Okay, so that's the point. So any other example you think of in that situation?
Jai.
Yeah, Jai. Okay, you saw the notes. Okay, that's another thing you can think. Of course, the Lord has His own plan. Lord thinks about His pure devotees, and also the Lord wanted Jaya to go through something, and Lord Vishnu, he said, yes, this is the right thing. You go for whatever that you have done. You have to go. Okay, so these are some points to discuss. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Okay, I just want to add one more point in this verse. Mother Kunti, she was calling the Lord as Yata Rishikesha. So Rishikesha also here means that Krishna is the master of all the senses. And we can see in some of the prayers also later, she says that let my mind, let it just be attracted by you. Like the Ganges is, Ganga is flowing. Let my mind also flow towards your lotus feet. So in fact, that's what in our life also, what we want is, let our eyes be attracted by the beautiful form of the Lord. Let the ears be attracted by the glorious names that is being sung about the Lord. Let our senses engage in the service of the Lord. Senses specifically with our legs, with our hands. Let us serve the Lord. And then let us smell the beautiful flower that is offered to the Lord. Let us taste the sumptuous prasadam that is offered to the Lord. And so this should be the attitude of a devotee, isn't it? So you should always think how all the senses can be attracted by the Lord. So that in that way we are very safe. And this is what Ambarish Maharaj is praying, right? Ambarish Maharaj was so much absorbed in the Lord's service. So I just thought about that. Okay. Text 24. Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanad Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichratah Mrde Mrde Nekamaharatastrato Draunyastratascha Hare Virakshitah. So now in the previous verse, she said that you saved us from great dangers. Now she's saying, what are the dangers that we underwent? And here, if you see, there are specifically 7 dangers she's listing here. I just counted, but it's not just those 7 dangers. The dangers that she underwent, or the Pandavas throughout the Mahabharata, if you see, they underwent it. So many dangers they underwent, so many difficulties they underwent, unimaginable. So when we just see the life of great personality like the Pandavas, Prahlad, you have to really cool down. Atulana, you tell me, anytime in your life, did you have any experience, somebody feeding you one plate of anything for that matter, any eatable, that some poison or somebody has given you? So far not, good. For me also, so far I did not have this experience. Or for that matter, did anybody, we went to some yatra, or we went to some place where we were allowed to stay in a house which is, where they are going to set up fire. We never had such an experience. So what is it? Vishan, Mahagne, Purushada. Any cannibal came to eat you? No, nobody had this kind of an experience. Purushada Darshanad Asad Sabhaya. In the whole, we were just in the middle of the Gandhi Stadium, and the entire Salem city, all the people came, and then the minister, in front of everyone, they were just accusing us, and they were just finding all the faults, all the mistakes that we have done. No, we never had this experience. Asat Sabhaya, this is what happened. Vanavasa Krichratah. And we can see all these sufferings, whatever they were undergoing. And when they went for Vanavasa, every time there was some trouble. And then also, we can see these kind of problems we never had. And then the most difficult suffering, Draunyastratas. So Ashwatthama, till the last moment, till the last breath, he wanted to really show his valor by trying to kill Parikshit also. So let's see what are the different things they underwent, what Prabhupada says in the purport. My dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. Now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama. The list of dangerous encounters is submitted herein. Devaki was once put into difficulty by her envious brother. Otherwise she was well. But Kunti Devi and her sons were put into one difficulty after another for years and years together. So it's like, it is, when you just read this line, you just think, Kunti is also thinking, actually, Mother Devaki, you did undergo suffering, but the suffering that I underwent is, is so much suffering I underwent. In fact, I'm just now a little bit digressing in the material world. Material world, if you ask, everybody will say something. I just remember from my relatives, my aunt used to say, Hari, the kind of suffering that I have underwent, I'm sure nobody else would have undergone. At the time, as a small boy, I was thinking, really, I guess she had some difficulty from some relatives, and then some debts, and then difficulty for eating food. So many difficulties she had. And then you just hear, oh, really, so much suffering. And then sometimes children, mother or father, they used to say that whatever suffering they undergo, in one sense it's good because you will be a little responsible. There are some people who never know what is life, what is difficulty. They are always, flying in the air. That's a different point. But the point that I am just trying to say is, everyone says that the kind of difficulty that I have undergone, no one else in the world would have undergone such a suffering. But here, what Kunti Maharaji is saying is, what she's speaking is a fact. Because, what Devaki underwent, it was one particular period. But here, Kunti Maharani and their children's life, Pandava's life, you see, beginning to end, it is just continuous suffering. So that's what Prabhupada is pointing out here. So they were put into trouble by Duryodhana and his party due to the kingdom. And each and every time the sons of Kunti were saved by the Lord. Once Bhima was administered poison in a cake. Once they were put into a house made of black that was set fire. And once Draupadi was dragged into the vicious assembly of the Kurus, and attempts were made to insult her by stripping her naked. The Lord saved Draupadi by supplying an immeasurable length of cloth, and Duryodhana's party failed to see her naked. Similarly, when they were exiled in the forest, Bhima had to fight with a man-eater demon Hidimba Rakshasa. And also so many other difficulties they underwent when they were in the exile. Okay, let's just try to remember some incidents. One was this very incident of this Draupadi being protected by the Lord. There also we can see why Draupadi is so famous. Why there's some two examples we can see. One was Draupadi, another one was Gajendra, and who I don't remember. Someone else is quoting Draupadi, Gajendra, and who else? So let us take the example of these two. When we just see the wonderful prayer that is offered by Bilva Mangala Thakur in the very first verse of the Govinda Dhamodara Stotra. What's the first verse? How does it go? Agre Kurun Agre Kurunam Ata Pandavanam Dushashanena Ritavastra Kesha. Then Ritavastra Kesha. So he pulled her with her hair. Then Krishna Sadakrosha Ananyanatha. This is the point. Ananyanatha. So she actually took shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The situation was so bad that we can just think about it. We cannot even imagine as a lady. First of all, they were trying to strip her naked, and nobody was there to help her. In fact, Draupadi had 5 husbands, right? Not one husband, 5 husbands. 5 men, strong men could not help her. So this is another example that you can see. No one actually in this material world can protect us. We have to take shelter of Krishna. And she really showed that she called for the Lord. And also we can see Draupadi, another often quoted incident is that she was first calling, again we were just in the previous purport we were discussing about this, calling the Lord helplessly. So calling the Lord helplessly, she was just, she was trying to hold with one hand the dress, and then she was trying to call the Lord. She was trying to call, and at one point of time she figured out that nothing, anything in this world could going to help me. I had to completely take shelter of the Lord. So she was just loudly chanting the name of the Lord, taking complete shelter of Him. The Lord immediately responded, and they were Dushasana was disappointed, and he couldn't understand it. Just the cloth was just incessant supply of the cloth, and everybody was totally surprised. And the Lord reciprocates with such devotees. So this is the point. Ananyanatha. She was chanting Govinda, Dhamodara, Madhava. She was chanting the name of the Lord. So the Lord gave protection. This is Ananyanatha. No one else other than the Supreme Lord. So this is the beauty of this Kunti's prayers, that she's constantly expressing that how we don't need anyone else's shelter, my dear Lord. We need your shelter. We need your association. So how attractive should Krishna be for someone to offer a prayer like this? So that's the point. Okay. After all these tribulations, there was the great battle of Kurukshetra, and Arjuna had to meet such great generals as Drona, Bhishma, and Karna, all powerful fighters. Draunyastratas. Sorry, what's the word? Maharatastrato. All Maharathis were there. It's not an easy fight. It is very difficult. And also some of them are very dear ones. Bhishma was so dear. So one thing is that you may be a great opponent also. He's very dear. Very difficult for Arjuna to focus and send arrows. Very difficult for Arjuna to shoot arrows at Drona also. For him, he learnt everything. Well, and we can imagine the kind of sufferings they underwent. Also, this incident another incident which we can remember is it's again another embarrassing situation for Draupadi. When Draupadi she was serving during the incognito, during the time when she was in the whose kingdom they were all serving, remember? In Virat, in the Virat Rajya, when they were there, and she was doing the service of hairdresser. That was the service she was performing, and Kichaka became very lusty, and he became so lusty, and then he really wanted to abduct Draupadi. And Bhima had a good, had fun with Kichaka. And then literally, I was just 2 minutes back before coming. That's why I was a little late. I was reading the Mahabharata. So it is said that, he just made his whole flesh into a lump. It's like a ball. He made into a ball, and then he just threw it. He was so disgusted. And in one side we can see how Bhima was so irritated, but also we can just see the kind of suffering they underwent. It's so difficult. Every time, wherever they went, somehow or other there will be some problem. And the beauty is that every time there was a problem, they were taking shelter of the Lord. They had so much faith in the Lord. They never ever even once complained. Oh my dear Lord, we have been serving you, we have been thinking about you. Why are you putting us in this difficulty? This is what we hear from a neophyte, from any beginner. Immediately they just point to, he's really Krishna God. I have been coming for so long. Why this happened? Why somebody died in our family? Why this happened? Why that happened? And immediately we can see the difference between a pure devotee and a conditioned person. Okay. And at last, even when everything was done, there was the Brahmastra released by the son of Dronacharya to kill the child within the womb of Uttara. And so the Lord saved the only surviving descendant of the Kurus, Maharaja Parikshit. There was the mood, that mood of taking full shelter of Krishna, surrendering and giving our lives to Krishna. That spirit was, we can see in the lives of great devotees who risk for Krishna. There was some incident that was mentioned in one of the talks by Guru Maharaj. He was explaining about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, how he used to do revolutionary things. So he was used to push somebody who wanted to serve Krishna, who had shown inclination to serve Krishna, who had shown some interest. Immediately he will push them to join, dedicate their life in Krishna's service. So there was one incident where one young professor, he became very much attracted by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's talk, and so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur pulled him out. He said that, okay, come and join us, come and serve with us. So he took him for serving in the mission, and then he sent him for some preaching programs, little faraway places. So there's some quite faraway places where and those relatives or somebody may not know where he is, and they may not call him. And he did get several pressures from some prominent personalities to send him back, but he considered that the most important thing is to completely surrender and serve to the Lord, and that will really help this soul and help the members of the family also. So that was the mood. It's kind of quite a revolutionary mood was there to serve the Lord and to please the Lord and take risks for the Lord. So this was something amazing that we see. Not only seeing example of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, many great personalities, they all have taken such risks, and that's why they are very glorious. Because in that, when so many of them when they were pushing Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that you should what should be done, what is the best thing to be done, he said that in so many lifetimes we have got mothers and fathers. Prati janme janme shabe pita mata pai, Krishna Guru nahi mile bajre hurai. So the point is that so many lifetimes we have had several mothers and fathers. We have been in the body of a cat, we have been in the body of a dog, we have been in the body of a hog, we have been in the body of an elephant. In all those bodies we have had several mothers and fathers. Yeah, there was one other incident also in that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's pastimes. There was one devotee who had his wife died, his father died, I think mother already died, I think. So he was thinking what to do, how to do, what to do. So he went and then met one sannyasi in the Gaudiya Math. Said that great, excellent opportunity. Now Krishna has made all avenues for you. Come and join. He didn't expect that that's going to be. That's how devotees look at it. Now we also saw Narada Muni's situation when his mother died. Immediately he took it as a mercy of the Lord. The Lord is helping me out to serve Him more closely. Engage all my body, mind, senses, time, energy in the Lord's service. So this is the understanding. So we should look at it properly, and then we should be responsible and engage in Krishna's service. So that's the whole point. So we should understand the urgency of taking shelter of Krishna. So all other conditions in this material world are not favorable. Material world itself is not a favorable place, but we are making the best use of the bad bargain. So associate the devotees, take shelter of the holy name, chant and serve, then we make tremendous progress. Okay. So one other interesting point that we can learn here is that we can see whenever the difficulty happens, what we do, we instead of cursing, the best thing is to reveal our mind to a devotee or a representative of the Lord, and then get good advice, and then take shelter of this Guru Sadhu Shastra, and then proceed to serve him in a proper direction. Instead of holding on to our mind and to our whimsical ideas, we should try to look at the situation from perspective of the scriptures. And that is intelligence. That is real intelligence. So then not to be emotional, but to be guided by proper emotions that is exhibited by the Guru Sadhu and Shastra. That's why we have guidance. Instead of taking our mind as our friend, we should be able to take shelter of Krishna. So that's the point we need to understand. Prabhupada says that here in this one of the two purports, he's explaining a point that how by taking shelter of devotees in this difficult situations, we will our proper intelligence will be invoked. Proper intelligence means to even the difficulties are there, even some problems are there, we will just try to tolerate it, and we will try to understand it as the mercy of the Lord, and then serve with more vigor, serve with more enthusiasm. Rather, the right thing is to understand is that use the difficulty as an opportunity to surrender to the Lord, understanding it as a mercy of the Lord, and turning the situation completely the other way around. Usually what happens, whenever we get a difficulty, whenever we have some problem, we just sit, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Rather, what the pure devotees are saying that, oh, here is some difficulty, oh, this is a mercy of the Lord. Now use this as an opportunity, as a challenge to surrender to the Lord. This is something not so easily spoken, but this is what Krishna consciousness is all about. And we can see the more the risks the devotees took in the early days, and they saw Krishna reciprocated. You remember Prabhupada actually once he said that once why certain members he appointed as a GBC, 11 members he appointed as a GBC. Srila Prabhupada said that because he appointed certain members because they were ready to risk their lives for Krishna. This is the point. And you remember when Srila Prabhupada heard that there was some terrorist attack in Pakistan. Brahmananda Prabhu and his brother Gargamuni, both of them he had sent for preaching. They took it up very seriously when Prabhupada said that go and then preach. They went. Prabhupada was tense. He was thinking what happened to them? Are they safe? They were wondering. And when Brahmananda Prabhu and Gargamuni came, I think who was that? Brahmananda Prabhu or Gargamuni? One of them, when they were there, Prabhupada actually when they came and saw him in Bombay, Prabhupada was in tears, and Prabhupada patted him, and then he was just soothing them by his touch, and then he was really he said, you sacrificed so much for me. Prabhupada was very pleased. And you can see the more that of course there is another point also I wanted to discuss. We at the same time we should not do anything whimsical. This is another point I just wanted to mainly discuss. I forgot about that. We cannot do something whimsical. Say for example, just giving you a simple example, that Prahlad Maharaj, what did they do to Prahlad Maharaj? They tried to throw him away from the cliff, right? They threw him from the cliff, and then the Lord protected him. So we should not try to do something whimsical. Now I'm practicing devotional service, let me jump from the mountain. Don't do crazy things, or drive car, as I explained the other day. One hand I will drive car and Paramatma will guide me. These are all called as the foolishness. Or for example, it is completely a terrorist zone, or it's totally prohibited to go and then do anything there. And having known, why don't you just go and then preach somewhere else? You say, I want to do a revolution. And you have heard also that previously whomsoever went, devotees were killed. So devotees are a little rare species, right? not many. If you compare what is the population of this entire world, and you compare the number of devotees, there are not so much. And we need to have great work. We need to save the lives of many people. Yes, definitely, we would like to go to those nations, all the places wherever the human race is found. We want to make everyone devotee, but let's try to be also little intelligent in the sense to use our resources, time and energy to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. And also we very seriously tax our brain how to penetrate into the regions where we cannot penetrate. Already devotees have done that before. They have penetrated to the communist countries, they penetrated to the Islamic nations, so many places. But still, many things have to be done very cautiously. So we need to, we cannot be, totally blind, and we should really be, we should be able to discriminate and act properly. That is also there. So, but the principle, what is the principle that we are discussing? The dependency on Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna, ready to take risk for Krishna. So that is required. So that's the point. Vipadas santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yat syad apunar bhavadarshanam. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Anybody here who wishes to have calamities? Kunti can only pray like this, and that's glory of her prayer. Okay, let's get into Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada says, generally, those who are distressed, needy, intelligent or inquisitive and who have performed some pious activities worship or begin to worship the Lord. Others who are thriving on misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Supreme due to being misled by the illusory energy. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation. So this is the point. This is the most essential point of this verse. Then what is it that the dangers are pushing us? The dangers push us to take shelter of someone, but actually a devotee takes shelter of Krishna. Whenever we have some danger, we try to take shelter, some material shelter we try to take, and we try to see that we are saved from that situation. But actually a pure devotee, he takes shelter of the Lord and he thinks of the Lord, he remembers the Lord, and in that way he is purified. His path for going back home, back to God, it is open. And Srila Prabhupada points out here that there are pious people and impious people. The impious people, they never turn their first face towards Lord. Pious people, they take shelter of the Lord. Now, there is one thing we need to understand. We can see also in the history of the world also, now, whenever there were some heavy calamities, people gradually think of God at those times. For example, when the September 9 and 11 attack, remember, in US. After that attack, actually, in many areas in the US, people became quite receptive to spiritual life. Indradyumna Maharaj, His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj, he said that when he was traveling after that incident, some people started respecting, that's a good life, sadhu life. Sadhu life, people had that, okay, he's a monk and he has dedicated his life, and people were respecting, what is this chanting of Hare Krishna, what is this practice, what is this con? So they were showing some interest, he said. And another incident also, he said that there was one apple vendor. He was very appreciative he was inquiring to some local people when Maharaj was staying in one place, who is that sadhu, what is he doing, and he gave him one whole crate of apple as a donation. So generally the point is that when there is a calamity that happens, two ways people look at it. One is, we should maybe time for us to wake up, we should move our direction towards God. Another set of people, what they do when such situation happens, there is no God. If God is there, how you would have allowed such an incident to happen? Prabhupada, you remember Prabhupada in his lectures, he quotes this example, gives the example of the First World War. The Germans, wives and mothers, they were all praying, let our son and husbands, father, they let them come back. And they were praying, that going to the church, praying, and they never came back. And after that, there is no God. Many became atheists. There was one famous politician in India also, in Gujarat, after there was this famous earthquake, the Bhuj. After he came and then he saw that many children, many people who were suffering, and then he said that, I don't think so there is a person called God. He became completely atheist. This is a response. So the point is, there is two responses. One is, whenever situation happens like this, people turn towards God, those who are pious. And another situation, whenever a calamity or anything happens, they see it as an opportunity to come closer to God. But now, even pious people, they are a little bewildered by this prayer. So-called pious people, I'm just saying, there's those who are follow the rituals, they do their daily puja and all those things. Like I was explaining the other day, we were discussing that one famous speaker in Tamil Nadu, a good Bhagavatam speaker, quotes shlokas very nicely. He has studied Bhagavatam. He can quote several stutis and so many things. At the end of the lecture, he said that you are all now very comfortably placed. I mean, you are financially good, financially well off, everything is good. This is all Krishna's mercy, he said. But that's not the essence. That is not the point. We will see when we see the next verse, when Krishna speaks about high birth, high parentage, big education, beauty, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Sridhir. So he says that, Kunti Maharani says that these are all, it's a little unfavorable for pure devotional service. She's saying that. So if somebody is going to speak on Bhagavatam and say that, oh, good, you are rich and everything Krishna arranged. Well, you may say everything is cause of all causes. Krishna is the cause of all causes. All the situation, everything Krishna is the cause. But if our perspective is that all these riches and comfortable things, this is because of your service to Krishna, there's something wrong in that understanding. Are you able to get what we are discussing? We should not misunderstand. So anyway, the point is that here Kunti Maharani's explanation that let me get more and more calamity. So this even an ordinary pious person cannot understand. What is this? We are praying to the Lord so that along with our wife, children, family, every one of us should be everything should be good. Everything should be very auspicious. That's what we are praying for. And then what is this prayer is, we can't understand this prayer. But this is what Prabhupada is explaining here. A devotee looks at the calamity as a mercy of the Lord, so that he could think of Krishna more. The other day we were hearing the example, Gokul Prabhu was sharing, that when a devotee was in the jail, he said that he has never chanted rounds so intensely. It was full of attention, every mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, with helplessly, full attention, proper pronunciation, every second thinking of Krishna. He was in a very tough situation. For no fault, that devotee was arrested and he was put in the jail. Well, he had only one shelter there. His bead, he was chanting 64 rounds. Very happily he was chanting. And the devotee said, after that, I remember that, he said that I could never get back those rounds, he said, after he came out. Of course, his life also very much changed after that incident. So, devotees look at it in that situation. So, Prabhupada is here quoting about the nature of this material world and how we have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of nescience, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hooves of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with a place where there is danger in every step. Samashrita pada pallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavambudir vatsa padam padam yad vipadam natesham. So Prabhupada goes on to explain, this material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place is itself full of calamities. That was a very good example I always remember. In one of the Bhagavatam purpose, Srila Prabhupada is quoting Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. He says that you go to a mine. What mine? He says that you go to a salt mine. And when you go to a salt mine, wherever you touch, any place you touch, you cannot get anything that is sweet or any other taste for that matter. Everything will be salty. So Prabhupada points out that, so having come to this material world, you want something, some great happiness here. It is not here. It is not available. Sir, you are in the wrong place. We having come to a wrong place. It's something like you are going to a medical shop and then asking I want to buy 1 kg of brinjal or 1 kg of some other. It doesn't make sense. So that is what is happening here really. And we don't have this understanding. We are just thinking how a situation can be very favorable. Everything will be very good. But Bhagavatam is immediately giving a warning. Bhagavad Gita is immediately giving a warning. So that's why we were discussing the other day. Krishna is the real honest person. He is a real well-wisher. He shows what is reality. He is very realistic. It's not optimism. And optimism, you understand. They say always they complain. Always people speak negative. It's not negative. This is the reality of the material. When you say that the material world is a place of suffering, let's hear something nice and good. That's why some people, they never want to hear that about this word death is edited from their dictionary. But it's a reality. That's how we need to know about this. We need to be trained from young age. And when we know about this, it is not a unexpected shock for us. When someone dies, yes, it's natural. So that training is required. So Prabhupada is hinting here that this material world is the place like that. So they have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without trace of calamity. So this is the point. The point is that the Shastras are not only pointing out this material world is a place of suffering. You are going to suffer. You are going to have birth, death, old age, disease, all problems. Not just that alone. Immediately also the Shastras are giving a solution. Natad bhasayate suryo, nasashanko napavakaha, yadgatva nivartante tadhama paramam mama. There is a great place. That place is the abode where there are no sufferings. Always there is bliss in that abode. And there is no need of a sun, no need of moon, no need of electricity. And once we go to that place, we don't come back. So Bhagavatam and Gita is pointing out to that place. Right in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, we heard that there is a great place where we can have transcendental pleasure with the Supreme Lord, serving the Supreme Lord. So we can see it is very nicely balanced. Krishna is our real well-wisher because he shows, okay, don't worry, these problems are there. Now you learn a lesson, come back to me. You can happily dance with me, eat with me, speak with me. As we heard today morning, Prabhupada points out that this is the goal of life. The goal of life is to engage in the Lord's service. And naturally you become happy. So that's what is being pointed out here. So Prabhupada says, the duty of the sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Okay, today tsunami, tomorrow corona. Or today corona, tomorrow there's something else. That's how it is. That's how the material world is. One after another there is going to be some suffering. But an intelligent person, he learns how to come out of this difficulty. This is the point. Okay, Prabhupada says, suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization because that is the mission of human life. I'll read this again. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization because that is the mission of human life. Now, we have to understand this statement properly. That means what? Just all the time don't think of, withdrawing from the spiritual practice or, this small difficulty, that difficulty, how to do it. Just understand the nature of this material world and there is going to be several problems that is happening. Adhyatmika klesha, adhibhautika klesha, adhidevika klesha. But with proper intelligence, engage in the Lord's service, take shelter of the Lord and see the examples of great personalities like the Pandavas, Prahlad, Dhruva, Kunti, all great devotees, how they took shelter of the Lord. How we can see Srila Prabhupada, how he took shelter of the Lord. How we can see the great devotees in the service of Srila Prabhupada, how they are taking risk for the Lord. And what is another amazing point? They are protected, they are happy. And this is the point, that this is the catch we need to understand. And Krishna himself says that. Krishna himself says that if you take up this process of bhakti, putamad bhavam agataha, you get purified and then you come back to me. Vitaraga bhayakroda manmayamam upashitaha bahavo jnana tapaso putamad bhavam agataha. Many people in the past have done this. So we have hope. It's not that something blindly we are doing. The perfect tested process. So that's the hint that we understand here. Prabhupada is pointing out. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called falls. So what is this calamity? It's like, you remember this example. Chanakya also gives an example. Sometimes we see there is thunder in the clouds. We don't take it seriously. Then he gives the example. Husband and wife, there is a fight. There is heavy thunder in the clouds. Again, couple of more examples he gives. We don't actually, not all the work stops. Everything is stopped, and we just sit with the hand on the head. No, we just get on. We just understand the nature, and things roll on. So this is another point. So one thing is that don't get disturbed. That is one point. Second point is that a devotee who has made sufficient progress in Krishna consciousness, he understands it as an opportunity to surrender to the Lord. This is the next step. So the more a devotee practices Krishna consciousness, the more he depends on the Lord, the more he sees all these things as an opportunity to serve the Lord. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there is no tiger, there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. In the same way, all calamities of life are said to be dreams. So that means what? It's like a passing phase. This suffering is not permanent, and the enjoyment is also not permanent. We have to remember that. Both sides of the coins are there. That's what yesterday. That was quite an apt example. What is that? Kal ka Raja, Aaj ka Kuta. Or exactly opposite. Aaj ka Raja, Kal ka Kuta. Don't be, in a mental platform. Don't be hovering on mental platform. Either way, you are in this situation, that situation. Be in equilibrium. That we learn from reading Gita and practicing Krishna consciousness. Okay. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always a forward step on the path going back to God. And many times we have seen when some people were in calamities, were in distress, they have got an opportunity to surrender to the devotee. They have got an opportunity. They might have got a book. They might have got prasadam. They might have come in touch with the Lord. That if that situation had not happened, you would have never taken up Krishna consciousness. There are many examples like that. So complete turnaround happens in the lives of people. And also, when in the practice of Krishna consciousness, also when someone unexpectedly gets some heavy disease or some big calamity, they just take it very cool. As we understand, we discuss this point again and again because it's not so easy for us to digest this. Tattenu kampam susumikshramana bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. Sir, it is you who cooked, and you have to eat what you have cooked. Also, there's an English saying that you prepare the bed and you lie down. You arrange all the beddings very nicely and everything you have done. So you have to lie down. So we made all those things. So we have to undergo. But again, the devotee understands that it is the mercy of the Lord. Actually, I should have undergone even more suffering. Okay. Now when we discuss this, we have to understand another important philosophical point, that taking shelter of Krishna doesn't mean that for every small thing we should just engage Krishna in our service. There's another major problem that we see, that I have a back pain, Krishna help me, Krishna protect me. I have to undergo the surgery, Krishna help me, protect me, Krishna. For every material problem, we just ask Krishna to serve us. That is not pure devotional service. Well, also, and that is one point. Another point is that a devotee has got no other shelter, even in favorable situation or in unfavorable situation. What Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Maro bhi rako bhi jo icha tuha. This is our understanding. either situation, you are my shelter. So that should be the understanding. So otherwise, and we can see in the lives of great devotees also, they don't use Krishna for their personal benefit. They always see how they can serve Krishna. Remember when we were discussing the Nectar of Instruction class, when who was it? I think it was Raghunatha Dasa Goswami. He's on a very high level, but just to understand the concept, we are just discussing this point. When he was chanting, he never had a kutir or anything. He was chanting Hare Krishna in the hot sun, and then what happened? Anybody remembers? Srimati Radharani personally came, and then she was holding, and then Sanatana Goswami very much chastised Raghunath Das Goswami. You know what happened? He was not aware what was happening. So that is the mood of our sampradaya. That's the mood of our acharyas. Never ever take service from the Lord. Always give service. Always render service to the Lord. At the same time also, it is also natural that whenever there is who else we will call when there is a situation of death or a situation of a big calamity, naturally we will call the names of Krishna, right? So, but also a devotee, as we can see in the prayers of Gajendra. So, in one place it is said that Prabhupada makes a point that he says that devotee is feeling a little ashamed to call the Lord for his help. But also it is not against the devotional principles to call the Lord in this kind of a calamities. But the general principle is that a devotee does not want to engage the Lord in his service. So that's the bottom line. We have to understand. Yeah, so we have to take a call in our life. We have to take a call that whether to stay in this material world very peacefully, very comfortably, and then keep changing as Prabhupada gives example of keep changing the cells. There is when you are in the jail, this cell is not so good. Let me go to a better room with better facilities. Should we do that, or just take up all the difficulties, take up and surrender to Krishna, and then come out of this cell? So that we have to take a call. So that's why this Tivrena Bhakti Yogena is being spoken. We should engage in Krishna's service intensely. That will help us to come out of it. Now we can see here in the prayer of Queen Kunti, she's asking the Lord to give her suffering. And what is the reason she says? Because of that we will be able to remember you. Now one point we have to see, now sometimes we go in front of the deities and we offer prayers. My dear Lord, please help me. I am ready to undergo anything. I want to be purified. Let's say, could be several situations. I am suffering from severe lust. I am suffering from greed. I am suffering from envy. My dear Lord, please remove this. And I am ready to undergo anything for that matter. But I want to really purify myself. Like that we offer sincere prayers to the Lord. And the Lord will reciprocate. And are we ready to face that challenge? So I was just hearing one devotee was explaining that he went and then offered prayers to our Mayapur deity Ugra Narasimha, and then he said that he just said this much: please remove my anarthas. And he said that the Lord really reciprocated, but he said that I had to undergo so many difficult situations, and I digested it, and my life has really changed after that. I'm not the same old person. I'm a different person, in a sense that he started practicing Krishna consciousness more seriously. And also one other thing we can learn is that when we offer prayers to the Lord, and the Lord is not, as Prabhupada used to say, He's not a stereotype block. Deity is Krishna there, standing himself personally. He's there to reciprocate with us. So that's the point. How we show our intensity? We show our intensity by applying ourselves in the practice of Krishna consciousness given by the Lord. For example, waking up early in the morning, attending the programs, intensely chanting japa, attending the classes, giving oral reception to Bhagavatam, engaging in service with full intensity, engaging in all the devotional practices with the intensity to please the Lord, then this is the most safest position for us. Well, externally we may have so many difficulties, but we need to take shelter of Krishna like this. And such a nice system is, we are having such a nice system, clear system, where there is no confusion what I should do in this situation, what I should do. A very clear path is given to us. When so many people in the world, they do not know what to do. They are suffering. They are just looking for some solution, and many false solutions are offered to them. So this is something we need to think about. Yeah, one devotee, he was explaining that how we can become how very intensely we can take up this process of Shravanam and Kirtanam. So he was explaining that let's imagine if our spiritual master personally comes and then gives us one instruction. How will you take it? You really be very serious, no? Personally, as Chaitanya Jivan, this is your mission. This is what you have to do. You have to do this. Something the spiritual master tells you. So he says that sometimes devotees early days, whenever Prabhupada used to send letters, okay, he used to send letters, write letters, and whenever letter comes, everyone just comes and surrounds. What is the instruction Prabhupada has given? You would have addressed it to some person, some particular devotee, and everybody will be so eager to learn what Prabhupada has said, and then so it may be particular for particular devotee in particular situation like that. No, this is an open letter for everyone. Prabhupada's instruction. Every day, wake up for Mangalarti, chant your rounds, come and then read Bhagavatam. You study Bhagavatam. It's like if you can imagine. Okay, I have received a letter from Srila Prabhupada. He has addressed to me, my dear Leela Krishna. Here is this is what every day read Bhagavatam. Like that, we are receiving a letter. So how serious we will be. So these instructions are like that only. It's not that we are especially our name has to be mentioned. Or especially we have to be called. Everyone, when Krishna gives instruction, it's for each and every one of us. And it's with affectionately the Lord is giving us his advice. So we can take up this message and make progress. Okay, text 26. Now, she is explaining this mood of helplessness, why it is not happening within us. Why we are not taking shelter of the Lord. Why we are not surrendering to him. Why we are not able to call him out with that helplessness. Okay, we can view this verse in that angle. And another angle also we can see what is blocking us to become, as she says, akinchana. Why we are not able to be like that akinchana devotees. So that's the reason. Janmaishwarya shruta shribhir yedamana madaf puman naivar hatya vidha tungvai Tvama kinchana gocharam. My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. Because one who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot address you with sincere feeling. This is the point. That sincere feeling, that calling the Lord with the heart doesn't happen. Because we don't feel that we need shelter. We don't feel that we want to really glorify the Lord because we are comfortable in our situation. Why comfortable? Because of what? That we're going to discuss. Prabhupada is saying, result of material opulence. Being materially advanced means taking birth in an aristocratic family and possessing great wealth and education and attractive personal beauty. All materialistic men are mad after possessing all these material opulences. And this is known as the advancement of material civilization. I just remember we were used to go to a college program years back, 10 years back. When we were used to go to the hostels, and in the hostel you can see pictures of all powerful bodybuilders. Arnold Schwarzenegger. You are all fortunate souls. You are polluted. We are all from different backgrounds, so we are in touch with the outside world, and we have seen a lot of movies and so many English films, and famous stars are there. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, he has bodybuilder, shows thick muscles, and you can see the boys. Every day they will go and do push-ups, and they will do certain exercises. Then compare themselves with the photo. They will be like a tiny fellow, and it's like that. They want to really show themselves that. No, I also want to. So they think that is muscular beauty is the real beauty. So if they are for beauty, and also at that time, the famous Hindi actor was famous. He was very popular, Shah Rukh Khan. So there are photos of Shah Rukh Khan, and also there are photos of other heroines also. That is also there. So, but they were, they were their trendsetters. We will follow the path of Mahajanas, Mahasuras. So this is the point. Prabhupada is pointing out here. All materialistic men are mad after possessing all these material opulences, and this is known as the advancement of material civilization. But the result is that By possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up, intoxicated by such temporary possessions. You can see this when we were working in software industry. Everyone is so puffed up. They can't walk like this. They walk like this only. So puffed up, really. They come. The way they dress, the way the eating habits, the way they talk. Really, India's culture is totally ruined by this so-called advancement of the IT industry. What Krishna's Prabhu was explaining today morning was a fact, 100% fact. So puffed up. And we can see, so there are worse places, are these big cities. Go to Bangalore. Bangalore is very worse. You go, every nook and corner of the street you turn, you have bars. Everybody speaks about drinking. Every weekend evening after 7 o'clock, they just, all youngsters, everyone, they go and drink. And then you can go to Hyderabad, you can see, since it is near Tirupati, you can see so many wine shops, Venkateshwara wines, Balaji wines, and all pious wine shops you can find. And all so-called pious people, they are learning how to drink wine. This is what is happening, and they are so puffed up. They are not interested anymore reading anything. I very much remember several years back, first time I saw a Western devotee from Poland. He was giving a talk we are having a program called Bhakti-vaibhava Youth Services. When we were in this program, so he sometimes whenever guest devotees come, they come and give a class. So he said, that was an interesting point. Till that time, it never struck me. I was also new to ISKCON at the time, coming first time, maybe some 2-3 weeks. So he said that I was shocked to see, there was really in that street where ISKCON is there, at the end of the street there is a shop called Balaji Wines. I saw Balaji Wines. How can you people in God's name you are selling wine? But that's true, you can just think of somebody from a Christian faith or from Islamic faith, they'll rip you apart. And the so-called Hindus are tolerant, and in the name of God they will do all nonsense actually. That is not allowed. So that's the point. That's what you become so mad. Once you become mad, you will do anything in the name of God. This is the point. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering, consequently, such materially puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing him feelingly, O Govinda, O Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. This is the power of chanting the holy name. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in this statement. Prabhupada is making this point. Don't think that this is an exaggeration. It's a fact. If you chant the holy names, even the amount of sins you tend to commit, that is all, everything is just gone with the wind. It's all Krishna's holy name is so powerful. Prabhupada now speaking about how we have to chant the name. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency, but there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. Therefore, the 4 principles of material advancement, namely high parentage, good wealth, high education, and attractive beauty, are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. Kunti very clearly she clarifies that it's a disqualification. The material covering of the pure spirit soul is an external feature, as much as fever is an external feature of the unhealthy body. The general process is to decrease the degree of the fever and not to aggravate it by maltreatment. So by Krishna consciousness we reduce our fever, isn't it? But by all other process, our material fever increases. Sometimes it is seen that spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished. This is no discouragement. That's why this discussion comes up in the later aspect of the Bhagavatam. Why the Vishnu's devotees are impoverished, whereas the devotees of Shiva, they are rich. The whole discussion is there. So the point is that the Lord knows what is really good for us. So sometimes He will put us in as we discussed before. So we may have to undergo several suffering, because in that way we will be purified. Our ego, we will be able to come out of our ego. The Lord purifies us, and that way He brings us closer to Him. So that is the point. So the principle of life should be to decrease the degree of material intoxication. So that's why we see whenever anybody comes, we may be a very learned person, you may be a very rich, popular person, whatever, come on and do service to the Lord. And we can see sometimes people who are very puffed up, you can see they will come to the temple, they will never bow down. We have seen, sometimes they will just come. You can see children, it's very simple, because still they are because of their innocent heart, they just do whatever the elders do. They saw their father is bowing down, and he will also bow down. But when you become intelligent, so-called intellectual, then you will just think so much to bow down in front of the deities. This is the problem. So here is a nice quote. Ki karibe vidya dhan rupa jasha kule ahankara bhadi shaba padai nirmule. What is the value of education, wealth, beauty, fame and high birth? They only increase one's pride and bring about one's fall down. So we have to be very careful. So there is another quote. Andi kari jacha more ashesha bandhan vidya dhane kule tuma janimu keman. You have entangled me in unlimited bondage. How can I understand you when I am absorbed in knowledge, wealth and high birth? So again we can see here from pure devotees, they are just warning that don't be carried away by this four. Somebody may be beautiful, someone may be educated, someone may be what is that? What are the four things? Janma, and then one may be very rich, good parentage could also be possible, and high education. If we don't properly, someone has got this. Now it's not that it looks very beautiful. Now I will go and do something, and then I will just cut off a bit. It is not like that. We have to, whatever talent Krishna has given us, whatever facility Krishna has given us, use it in Krishna's service. How do we understand? We understand it as the mercy of the Lord. Actually, you see someone is very intelligent, he immediately understands that this is a dim reflection of Lord's unfathomable qualities. The Lord is the Vibhu. All great qualities are with the Lord. And whatever, if you see that there is something I possess, actually it's a minute reflection of the Lord's glorious qualities. And also a devotee looks at it from another perspective. How he looks at it, it's all my Guru's mercy. This is how he looks at it. Never takes credits for himself. And it's not artificial. That's a fact also. That's how he looks at it. Then we are on a very safe path. Isn't it? Otherwise, you see so much endeavor that is happening in this material world, that you can see now you go, there are, if you see, there are, what kind of surgeon they call this? In dentistry, maxillofacial surgeons. They are very expert in, if there is something happens, they put your face in the proper shape. And, there are also several plastic surgeons are there. And there is a big business that, how to make you really beautiful. They so many different kinds of surgeries they do. And in India we can see of various cosmetic products. What is a highly selling cosmetic product? Fair and Lovely cream. Fair and Lovely cream. They always want to make themselves white. And actually it's a crazy thing. In the West you see they are too white, and what they do, they go and then stand in the hot sun, so that they will become little dark. And here in India it is opposite. We are little dark, so we want to become bright. And every time they apply Fair and Lovely cream, and then they come and show themselves in front of the mirror, and then see, is it okay? We have discussed this before, but still, because this is always I've live seen this. So I just saw one so-called brahmachari. He was in the ashram, he just read somewhere that there should be Brahma Tejas. Brahma Tejas is not because of Fair and Lovely cream. It is from the practice of Krishna consciousness. The more we are pure, naturally we will exhibit that. So no need to apply Fair and Lovely cream. Well, and we see here that we become more and more materially contaminated by all this beauty and all those things. We cannot call Krishna's name with that reciprocation. So that is the point here. So this particular word, akinchana gochara, is very important in this particular verse. So akinchana, what does akinchana means? He does not possess anything. Huh? Actually, who he possesses? For akinchana people, personalities, Krishna is their shelter. So there was an incident with Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. There was one very rich man. He wanted to come and then call Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj for a program, and he said that, why do you need me? So he said, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj told him that, if you want, you just sit and you just chant and sit here. Don't go anywhere. So they were trying, actually they wanted to, he's a sadhu, he's a big person, sadhu comes in, his fame increases and people become more receptive and like that. So later what happened, when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was pushing him to sit and chant, and then after some time they immediately left, I cannot do that. So there are many incidents like this, there are so many things we can keep quoting. But we can see that they are those who are akinchanas, they are not interested for any name, fame, glories, any money, like that. Okay. Okay, another interesting point here is that Kunti Devi, she had she is from her background. She is from a very great family. She was very beautiful. She was well educated. Well, the prayers can show that. Janma, Aishwarya, well, she was from a good family also. She was wealthy also. But she was in the category of Akinchana Gochara. She was totally depending on the Supreme Lord. So this is the whole point. So what should be from this prayer also, one more thing we can learn is what should be our prayer. Our prayer should be in whatever situation, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani, janmanishware, bhavatat bhakti rahito vitvai. So whatever may be the situation, so I just want to engage in your pure loving service. So now after having said that one should be actually one should be akinchana gochara. Now she says now how to really approach that Supreme Lord. So now that she explains. Namo kinchana vittaya nivritta gunavrittaye atma ramaya shantaya kaivalya pataye namaha. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and master of the monists. Renunciation for something tangible in the material world. A living being is finished as soon as there is nothing to possess. Therefore, a living being cannot be, in the real sense of the term, a renouncer. Did you follow this point? There is nothing for a living being to possess, Prabhupada says. Once it is finished, nothing to possess. So therefore a living being cannot be in the real sense of the term a renouncer. A living being renounces something for gaining something more valuable. A student sacrifices his childish proclivities to gain better education. A servant gives up his job for a better job. Similarly, a devotee renounces the material world not for nothing but for something tangible in spiritual value. Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami and Srila Raghunatha Dasa Goswami and others gave up their worldly pomp and prosperity for the sake of the service of the Lord. They were big men in the worldly sense. Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis were ministers in the government service of Bengal, and Srila Raghunatha Dasa Goswami was the son of a big zamindar of his time. But they left everything to gain something superior to what they previously possessed. The devotees are generally without material prosperity, but they have a very secret treasure house in the lotus feet of the Lord. So what is the secret treasure for a devotee? The lotus feet of the Lord. So that is why, that is their wealth. That is what they possess. Why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so much attracted with Kola Vecha Sridhar? Because his only possession was the Supreme Lord. He was not interested in anything else. Even if any big facility was arranged for him, he was not interested. He was, remember when the Mahaprakash Leela, when the Lord asked him, oh Sridhar, please, what is the boon you want? He was not interested in asking. The Lord is pushing you, ask something more. I am fully satisfied. I just want to be always engaged in your service. That is the whole point. Okay, here Prabhupada is pointing out this amazing story here. There is a nice story about Srila Sanatana Goswami. He had a touchstone with him, and this stone was left in a pile of refuse. A needy man took it, but later on wondered why the valuable stone was kept in such a neglected place. He therefore asked him for the most valuable thing, and then he was given the holy name of the Lord. Akinchana means one who has nothing to give materially. A factual devotee or Mahatma does not give anything material to anyone because he has already left all material assets. He can, however, deliver the supreme asset, namely the personality of Godhead, because he is the only property of a factual devotee. Actually, when I first time heard that, what is it that we are going to renounce? Sometimes we are very proud. Oh, I gave this donation. I gave this. I. Sometimes we are in that consciousness. I did this. I did that. When there is in the discussion between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is one point. Ramananda Rai is explaining that actually, what is it that we have to renounce? Think about this statement. What is it that we have to renounce? What is there for us to renounce? See, for example, let's say, I don't know anything. Okay, let's say, this is a golden card. Okay, I'm giving it as a donation for you. Wherever you take this, you will get, you can swipe it and then you can get so much money. I'm the owner of it. Okay, but if you just a little bit peacefully think about what is it that we are owning in this world. Actually, nothing belongs to us. Everything belongs to Krishna. When we are in Maya, we think that I am the possessor of this. I own this. This is my bank balance. This is my assets. This is my so many things. We are hallucinated actually. But if you very peacefully think that everything belongs to Krishna, we are just using Krishna's property and then giving it to Krishna. Like Ganges is offered to Ganges, and then we are so proud. Actually, I did this. I did that. But a devotee fully recognizes that everything belongs to Krishna, and actually I am holding only something I am giving. This is the understanding of a devotee. So what is it that then so glorious when somebody is offering something to Krishna? Everything belongs to Krishna. What is glorious? The glory is that the devotee being sincere, he acknowledges that this belongs to Krishna and gives it to Krishna. Are you able to follow what we are speaking? So that is the whole point. And when we are foolish, we are so proud that I did this, I did that. It's all the ability that we have got, the intelligence that we have got, the assets that we possess. Everything is coming from Krishna. In the Ishopanishad very clearly clarifies, Krishna is the owner of everything. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Tena taktena bunjita magradakasya svidhanam. When we are greedy, we are so greedy that we want to possess someone else's property also. But we totally forgot actually everything belongs to Krishna. So that's why in the Gita we can see it is explained that we are all, the jivas are sometimes compared to whom? Thieves. Everything belongs, Krishna's sun belongs to Krishna, moon belongs to Krishna, water belongs to Krishna, air belongs to Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna. We are using everything that is belonging to Krishna and then we are denying Krishna. What a rascal. That's a rascaldom it is. That is why Jiva will always be frustrated. Because why your frustration? We can just think about it. Let's say, I've just stolen your possessions. I'm keeping it with me. Okay. Maybe temporarily, so this nice tab you're having. So I just stole it. Okay. And I'm just using it. But I can't really be happy because I stole it. And then I have to just cover it up. And when somebody comes, I have to cover it up, close the door. And you can, let's say you steal something like that, you're walking in the street. When you see police, your intention. You're laughing, but inside your tension. Our situation is like this only in this material world. Everything belongs to the Lord. We are just misusing the Lord's property. We can't be happy. How can we be happy? We cannot be happy. And we will naturally be happy once we recognize that everything belongs to the Lord. He is the possessor of everything. You just recognize. If we start to recognize it, immediately we'll be happy. This is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Because once we start recognizing what we will do, you will start engaging it in Krishna's service. Isn't it? That's the point. Okay. Akinchana means one who has nothing to give materially. A factual devotee or Mahatma does not give anything material to anyone because he has already left all material assets. He can, however, deliver the supreme asset, namely the personality of Godhead, because he is the only property of a factual devotee. The touchstone of Sanatana Goswami, which was thrown in the rubbish, was not the property of the Goswami. Otherwise, it would not have been kept in such a place. The specific example is given for the neophyte devotees just to convince them that material hankerings and spiritual advancement go ill together. Unless one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. So when we start to distinguish spirit and matter, all our material desires will be extinguished. A spiritual master like Srila Sanatana Goswami, although personally able to see everything as spiritual, set this example for us only because we have no such spiritual vision. Okay. Advancement of material vision or material civilization is a great stumbling block for spiritual advancement. Such material advancement entangles the living being in the bondage of a material body, followed by all sorts of material miseries. Such material advancement is called anartha or things not wanted. Actually, this is so. So this is here Prabhupada's purport is again amazing. In the present context of material advancement, one uses lipstick at a cost of 50 cents. 50 years before, by the way, this cost is 50 years before, I would say 50 cents. And there are so many unwanted things which are all products of the material conception of life. So many things. Well, we can have a big seminar. What are all the unwanted things? It's an unending seminar. It can just go on and on and on. There's so many products that are available in this material world. By diverting attention to so many unwanted things, human energy is spoiled without achievement of spiritual realization, the prime necessity of human life. This is what is happening. What is all the advertisements, all the products? It is just temporarily trying to make us forget of our suffering situation. That's a good definition. No? What is suffering in this material world? Suffering in the material world is, or happiness the happiness in the material world, happiness is considered to be intervals between two suffering. That is considered as happiness. We have seen this example, that how the king in those days, when somebody steals or somebody does some criminal activities, they used to move him inside the pond of water. And then fellow will have great difficulties. He will try to, he will almost suffocate and die. All these breathing difficulties he will have. At the last moment, okay, he's about to die. Release him. And then we think that to be the relief, that to be happiness. That's what this material world is all about. And that's what all the facilities in this world is doing. Smartphone, all great internet gadgets and all those things. It is trying to give you some relief. You watch some movie, watch some film actress, watch somebody speaking to you in a very empathetical way, and then, very nice, you think that's a wonderful situation, everything is nice. Some people actually, they are able to sleep in the night. Some people, they take medicines, they take some pills. Some people, they can sleep only with a smartphone. They cannot sleep without that. This is the problem, because these are all anarthas. Anarthas are completely putting us in great trouble. Prabhupada is speaking about another anartha. The attempt to reach the moon is another example of spoiling energy, because even if the moon is reached, the problems of life will not be solved. This is again another Prabhupada's beauty. Okay, let's go to the moon. Where even if you go there is going to be birth, death, old age and disease. Don't think that those who are on the moon, if you go to the moon, you can solve the problems. By the way, you will never be able to go to the moon. The devotees of the Lord are called akinchanas because they have practically no material assets. Such material assets are all the products of the three modes of material nature. They foil spiritual energy, and thus the less we possess such products of material nature, the more we have a good chance for spiritual progress. So, the more we minimize our bodily needs, the more we are peaceful. The more peaceful means what? Just reducing the bodily needs alone will not make us peaceful. Sometimes we see some sadhus, they just they don't have anything. Sometimes they walk around only with a copin. That alone will not solve the problem. On the other hand, the material desires and material assets reduce. Actually, it's like this. Krishna consciousness, chanting the Lord's name, remembering the Lord. This increases and this will naturally reduce. Proportionately, this will reduce. So that's the point we have to understand. So the Supreme Person of God has no direct connection with material activities. All his acts and deeds which are exhibited even in this material world are spiritual and thus unaffected by the modes of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that all his acts, even his appearance and disappearance in and out of the material world, are transcendental, and that one who knows this perfectly shall not take his birth again in this material world and will go back to Godhead. Okay. The material disease is due to hankering after and lording it over material nature. This hankering is due to an interaction of the three modes of nature. Therefore, the Lord and the devotees are called Nivritta Gunavritti. The perfect Nivritta Gunavritti is the Supreme Lord because he never becomes attracted by the modes of material nature. Whereas the living beings have such a tendency. Some of them are entrapped by the illusory attraction of material nature. So, Shri Kunti Maharani is calling, my dear Lord, you are completely above the modes of material nature. Whereas we are within the material modes. Okay, here again she is calling the Lord as Kaivalya Pataye. Because the Lord is the property of the devotees and the devotees are the property of the Lord, reciprocally, the devotees are certainly transcendental to the modes of material nature. That is a natural conclusion. Such unalloyed devotees are distinct from the mixed devotees who approach the Lord for mitigation of miseries and poverty or because of inquisitiveness and speculation. Now we can see here a few of the words that is being used. Prabhupada is also very much in line with the previous acharyas giving comment. Okay, we will just read that and we will speak about that. The unalloyed devotees and the Lord are transcendently attached to one another. For others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate and therefore he is called Atma Rama, self-satisfied. So you see the definition here. He is saying Atma Rama, so he is self-satisfied. The Lord is self-satisfied. He is not. Why? Because he doesn't want to, he has least interest in someone who is not his devotee, who is not interested in him. He doesn't worry about it. But the same person becomes so much eager to become submissive to his devotees. He is actually in fact hankering for the association of his devotees. So it appears like contradiction. Atma Rama is self-satisfied, but at the same time the Lord, that's what Bhagavatam explains this. He's Swarat, at the same time he's not Swarat. Is it clear? Okay. He is the master of monists who seek to merge into the existence of the Lord. Such monists merge within the personal effulgence of the Lord. Such monists merge within the personal effulgence of the Lord called the Brahma Jyoti, but the devotees enter into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which are never to be misunderstood as material. So this is a difference. So Kaivalya Pataye. So devotees also merge. See, the two kinds of merging is there. This monist merging, they want to merge to the impersonal form of the Lord. But what is the devotees merging? Devotees, you see, remember the Ishopanishad verse. Ekatvam anupashyataha. So what is that? Same interest. Whatever is the Lord's interest, that is the interest of the devotee. So in that way, the devotee also is merging with the same idea, same thought. The only intention is to please the Lord. So Prabhupada is pointing out here that yes, the devotees enter into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which are never to be misunderstood as material. That's the point. Okay. So here is a nice verse which explains about who is rich. One who has got some 2 accounts in Swiss bank. No. See this verse very nicely. Adhya kadya nahi jar daridhrer anta Vishnu bhakti takile she dhanavanta. And if one is so poor that he has no food for a day, but he has devotion to Lord Vishnu, then he is the richest person. See, always this we can see, the message of Bhagavatam, teachings of pure devotees, it's all giving us a revolutionary concept. But we generally go and speak, people become furious like this. What is it that all you are speaking about spirituality, this and that, person does not even have food to eat and you are talking big things. But this is the whole point. The point is that actually a person is really rich when he knows Krishna. That's why our discrimination is not based on what is the material asset he has got, how much a person surrendered to Krishna, that much is rich, that much is worshipable. So that's the point. Well, let's see some other commentaries of the acharyas. Okay, here Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he points out that that the Lord is attached to whom? To those, the same verse he's speaking for those who are akinchana. Those who are akinchana means those who don't possess anyone else. Their only possession is the Supreme Lord. He's very much attached to them. And he says that Prabhupada discusses all this point. And they are nivritta, he says, because they are not carried away by the interaction of the material mode. So whatever, assets you get, whatever fame you get, whatever position you get. In this material world, when you are acting in the modes, all these things you will get, but the devotees are nivrita. They don't want any kind of wealth, they don't want any kind of name, fame, glory by the interaction of the material modes. They are interested in that. And so she's calling the Lord as Nivrita Gunavrittaye. So Lord is also like that. He's not behind any of these things. So he's saying that the Lord is attached to the Akinchana devotees. He's attached to that. Now, the same thing Prabhupada pointed out in the purport. So the Lord is detached with whom? So that's why he's showing this quality of Atma Rama. Because he's not interested in those who want to serve his lotus feet. So he's not interested in that. And there is another important aspect which is being discussed. Kunti Maharani is pointing on this verse. She says Shantaya. What does that mean? Shantaya. So the Lord remains very peaceful even if his dear devotee sometimes makes some mistake. He tolerates. The Lord tolerates. So like sometimes the child kicks the mother. Mother doesn't take it seriously. She doesn't remember then after 10 years, oh, you kicked me on my chest. No, she doesn't even bother about it. Similarly, the Lord also is very peaceful. And he's not really worried about that. Okay. Okay, this is an amazing incident. Prabhupada also, in one of the lectures, I'm sure some of you might have heard this. Prabhupada says that actually it was the mercy of the Lord on me that that he forcefully made me to surrender. He took up sannyas. He just take up. Yeah, he says the Lord smashed his plans. Similarly, the Lord has given this wonderful opportunity. Prabhupada points out that. Okay, this is a nice verse. It is explained here. Sayada Vitatad yogo nirvinna syad dhane haya matparai krita maitrasya karishye mad anugraham. When he becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money and instead befriends my devotees, I bestow my special mercy upon him. Krishna says. Okay, thank you very much. We'll just stop here. If you have any questions, any realizations, any points to share, welcome.
As you
Yes, bro.
told that about this pessimism and optimism.
Yes.
In one of the lectures of His Holiness Bhakti-vaibhava Maharaj, he tells that actually that sometimes devotees talk about that there is so much suffering in this material world and that is the nature of the material world. So then outside people may tell that okay, every time devotees are telling only about suffering, like that, death and like that, so much fear. So he gives an example that a person, if he tells that to another person that okay, there will be cold in cold season. So then he will tell, oh, you are speaking so much you are so much pessimistic. But we are not pessimistic. You're fool. But
yeah, it's a fact. So there is going to be seasons are there like this. There is going to be summer and there is going to be winter. Yeah. And obviously in the winter season it is going to be cold.
So that's
it's a very good observation. Yeah, it's a nice point. So it's a reality of this world. You have to understand the reality of this world. And we point out that the realistic nature of this world. Some people misunderstand and they think it's pessimistic. Okay, this just reminded me when you said cold. Another interesting thing that reminded me is that devotees, when they took so much struggle, we can see those when the Krishna consciousness movement, when it spread in the West, in many places, how the majority way by which the Krishna consciousness movement spread. What do you think? How it was spread? How the movement was spreading? What was the main thing that was happening? That's the point. Immediately you should answer this. Book distribution. Devotees were taking so much risk to distribute books. Prabhupada was so happy. Always was interested to hear how many books were distributed. And they took so much risk that their health were sometimes it was collapsing. It was very cold. We know what the kind of winter that we are having in India, in some places where the temperature comes down, there is nothing when it compares to the West. It's freezing cold. There was once devotee. The devotees were explaining that once they saw that it was it was cold. They said, how we will go out and distribute books? So they were thinking like that. And they heard in few minutes or seconds, they heard one sound, heavy sound they were hearing. And then they saw that there were certain workers fully equipped with masks and with winter clothes and all those things. They were cutting something, some heavy work they were doing. Then they thought, oh, when they are able to take so much risk and do their work, why not we go and distribute Prabhupada's books? So they went out, risked. In winter, you can see during this marathon in December time, they would go out and distribute books. Some devotees were having heavy back pain. They were just distributing books. And they were taking risks for Krishna. So much risk, going to several houses. And these are some practical examples where we can relate that how we can depend on Krishna in going ahead with serving the Lord. For any small thing we want to avoid serving Krishna. We should mature ourselves. We can't just be kiddish and childish, because we are getting benefited, we are getting the mercy of the Lord. If we are not going to endeavor ourselves to take extra steps in pleasing the Lord, then who is the loser? We are the loser, and we get so much gain by showing our inclination to please the Lord like this. And we can see that's what we see with all these great devotees. And Prabhupada was, as we explained in the beginning, Prabhupada was very pleased with those devotees whom whenever they took risks for Krishna. Also, we just spoke, not that we do something very blind, it should be balanced. So that also is there. Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.